Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. This is Ben Kinney. Today I'm joined with Chad Hyams. Bob Stewart is fishing or doing something like that, Chad?
Something. We don't know. Probably waiting online to buy Air Jordans or something.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, he is not with us, which is good because Chad and I get to have an intimate, romantical discussion. And we're going to discuss a word that popped into our mind, loyal. And specifically loyalty. Like, how do we create loyalty in all aspects of our life, within our personal relationships and friendships, within our business to our employees, creating loyalty from one individual or our customers to our brand, or just creating individual loyalty with our specific customers. We found that there are lots of things that do that. Chad, before we dive into some examples about what can we do to create more loyalty in our organizations, let's start with a kind of a lighter topic, brand loyalty.
Sure.
Is there some brands that you consider yourself loyal to?
Absolutely. Without even thinking about it.
Like
Right?
what?
Apple comes to mind right away as I've got my phone in one hand and my computer in the other while we're here recording. Both Apples. I'm thinking about getting a new laptop, and I won't look at anybody that's not Apple.
It's one of the things in our organization. I love the little blue text bubbles when you text somebody that has an iPhone, right? And if somebody doesn't have an iPhone, it drives me nuts. It drives me so nuts that I'm willing to buy them a new phone.
There
right?
you go.
That is how loyal I am to some of that functionality. What else?
Yeah, another one that comes to mind to me, Brooks for my running shoes. And it's because I finally found a pair of shoes that work with me and I won't buy another company. You know, there's so many out there. There are places that we go. There's restaurants we go to regularly. There's a store we always shop at. And when it comes to grocery stores, I don't have brand loyalty. Right? I'll go to whichever grocery store I'm closest to pick up what I know I need. Yet you can be sure if it's ice cream I'm picking up, it's Ben & Jerry's. So I've got brand loyalty to them. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah, I even have loyalty to what section in a restaurant I sit and who serves me.
Yes.
Right?
So that's loyalty to people that we'll have even within an organization. You go to buy a new car, you go to buy a product, you're going to be saying sometimes, oh, I'm here to see such and such. They're going to help me today because you know.
We were laughing about a tweet that came out yesterday from a brand who I'd say I was pretty loyal to for a long time. And you know a brand becomes really successful when you don't say what you're going to do. The name of the company actually explains it all, right?
Yep.
I'm going to go to, in this particular situation, it was Blockbuster.
Sure, the largest franchise in the world at one point.
That we were super loyal to.
Absolutely.
Right? And you didn't have to say, "Hi, I'm going to go rent a movie. I'm going to Blockbuster." We all knew what you were doing at Blockbuster.
That's right.
Funny, Blockbuster becomes a very interesting business story. You know, they had the opportunity to buy Netflix for like $50 million. And I don't know what Netflix is worth today, but it's in the billions and billions. That was a mistake.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, those people would have been very loyal to continue to get their movies online, right? Or even by mail.
Yep.
But they made that mistake. The tweet yesterday, I forget what it says. Do you remember what it was?
Just checking in.
Yeah, they hadn't tweeted since like 2014, and one message comes out, "Hey, just checking in."
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
And it was actually the second one that Dave pointed out to us as we were reading it, which was Domino's response.
Oh,
right?
yeah. What did Domino say?
Something like, we used to have some fun Friday nights back in the days, didn't we? Right?
Together, yeah, that was very funny.
Yeah, brand loyalty, Ben, is a powerful, powerful thing that we have. You've got your brand loyalty to certain stores that you're going to go to, certain companies that you're going to be buying from. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got a brand that they're loyal to, and they'll just hold their breath until they can get that version. You go to a restaurant. You threw me off today, actually. We were at lunch today, and you ordered a diet soda, which we've talked about. Yet you've ordered a diet soda, and the waitress actually said, Diet Pepsi, okay. And you didn't even bat an eye at it. You're loyal to the Diet Cola. Whereas, boy, when I was living in Atlanta, if someone even said the word Pepsi, they got like stoned down there. I mean, there is loyalty to Coca-Cola in that situation. So everyone's got one, whether they're thinking they do or they don't.
Side note, that's like one of the most irritating questions in the world because it's really rhetorical. Because when they say, "Is Diet Pepsi okay?" that's usually all they have. It's not like they have Diet Coke as well, right? It's a trick question. So then I just always say, I don't even clarify Diet Coke. I just say Diet because I know they're going to bring me one of the two.
And loyalty can change. So we can have a falling out with a product, or another product could come along that's better. and it could steal our brand loyalty. So we have to make sure from our side that we're always innovating, we're always leading the way, and we're always pouring back into our customers to make sure we earn that brand loyalty.
You know what loyalty does for me, Chad, is it removes an element of thinking. I don't have to think about, is it going to be good? Is the food going to be okay? Am I going to be serviced in the right way? Are they going to be nice to me? Is the pants going to fit? Whatever those things, it actually removes thinking for me.
Sure.
So I become loyal to these situations, these brands, these businesses, because I just know it may not be the best, but it's going to be the most consistent.
You know,
it's safe.
I actually remember a story about it. I guess it's 10 years ago now when I moved here originally and came up to Bellingham to work with you the first time. And I needed to get a haircut. And I said to you, Ben, where do you go to get your haircut? It's not an issue I would have today, of course. But I said to you then, I said, Ben, where do you go to get your haircut? And you wouldn't tell me. You were so loyal to your person and they were so loyal to you that you actually wouldn't tell me where to go because you thought I would attempt to steal their business and referral source for myself. So you actually had such loyalty to your person, you became protective of them and that relationship, keeping other people out sometimes.
It's actually just because I thought you were a crappy tipper.
Oh, all right. That makes sense. Okay, so Ben, talking about loyalty, we've got brand loyalty, and some of these brands have programs. What are your thoughts on, like, do you fly a certain airline just because you get mileage? Do you use a certain credit card brand because of that? How much does that play into where you get your coffee because they give you a punch on the card?
Yeah, I wouldn't be the guy that signed up for the loyalty program. One, because I love small businesses and I want them to continue to get paid. So I don't take the free 10th smoothie from Robex because I like those guys and I want them to stay in business. So I always just prefer to pay those people. But when it comes to big companies, if it's convenient and that gives me some sort of a advantage, like Hilton hotels or Marriott hotels or whatever your business class hotel is, if I knew that by staying there, I would have a guaranteed room more in the future, that's valuable to me. And
so when you're going to a town, will you pick the Hilton over the Marriott just purely because you're a Hilton higher status member?
I would pick one of the two because I travel so much that some have one and some have the other.
Sure.
But that just makes it easy. I know it's going to be quality. I know it's going to be clean. I know they're going to treat me okay. I know I can book it from my app. And if I have a problem, I know I can get a refund if I don't make it into that specific location.
So let's talk about the things you just said. They set expectations and standards that you know you're going to get, and that's one of the things that's creating that loyalty.
They've earned my loyalty over time through their benefits and through their rewards and probably more than anything through their service.
Okay.
Now, when we think about these other areas in our life, relationships, our employees, sometimes we wake up one day and that person that we worked with for a long time left. And Chad, you'd be a great example of that. You know, we've worked together for a long time. There was a point in time where you packed up and you went for a different opportunity.
Yep.
Never in that situation did I say, Chad's not loyal to me. Chad's always been loyal to me. Like, you've always been a good friend to me. But it doesn't mean that there wasn't a better opportunity for you at the moment for you to go take that.
Right.
And I think back about what could we have done in those situations to make it so somebody never left us? And one answer is, if I would have had an opportunity equal to what you had in front of you, you would have stayed here for that, but I didn't at the moment. Right? We have to create a world really, really big so that our people don't have to leave. Second, I have to know what our people want. Like, if our people have something they want to grow into or some opportunity or some position or something they want to learn and we aren't aware of that, they could slip right out of our world because we didn't take the time to get to know them and their wants, their needs, and their dreams.
Well, what a great leadership lesson that is right there, that we're not just rewarding people for a great job. We're helping to create that loyal relationship. Because in today's world, we know the numbers, we've seen the studies. It's not like our grandparents' generation where they got a job and then they retired when they got the watch. Nowadays, people jump from company to company to company, yet they will be loyal if the loyalty can be earned.
Can I change whether or not an employee is at their heart, at their core, loyal or not?
No, not at all.
We can't do that, right?
No.
I can only do two things in that situation. One, I can do a better job at hiring. So I bring in loyal people who have a history and track record of showing up loyal.
Yep.
Right? Number two, I can work really hard at, and here's the phrase for today's call, earning that person's loyalty.
Yeah.
What can we do as leaders to earn the right to be in business with those people today and in the future?
So what are some of those things? Let's start.
Let's think about this. What do you want from somebody that you work with, Chad?
Oh, I probably want them to be authentic and true to who they are.
Yeah, you want to know that you're dealing with the real person, right? Who is that person you're talking to? Are they always the same? Or do you have boss Ben that you're talking to and you realize when you close the door, he's somebody else?
Right.
Another one I want is I want to be in business with people, both who I would report to or they would report to me, who are empathetic, who understand what I'm going through or what challenges that I have, or understand if I have to make an adjustment to an appointment or to our schedule. And I have to also be empathetic to what they're going through, what they need in their lives right now.
And you covered that with us in detail back in our empathy series. I would recommend, if you're newer to the podcast and missed that, just go to winmakegive.com, where you can find the empathy series and you can get all those episodes sent right to you. Ben did a fantastic job of talking about being an empathic leader and having that high emotional intelligence. So
let's take another one. Well, what is it? Something else that you look for in a leader?
Someone who I can trust, right? I mean, to me, these are things I've got to be able to trust somebody with everything, because if I'm going to be able to give that person my all, I need to be able to trust that person with their all, and at the same time that they're not going to let me fall. I mean, if you think back to school, we used to do those silly trust falls where we would fall back and you would just trust the person was going to catch you. Well, just think about it. Are you being led by somebody right now, or are your employees the kind of people that if you fell backwards, you would actually truly trust they would catch you? I know that somebody might not be able to catch me, yet they would do their best to make sure I just didn't fall still. They would get under me. They would get behind me. They would do something to make sure I didn't fall. So you've got to have that trust that comes in a relationship to build loyalty up.
And that trust is really two-way, right? I learn to trust you and you learn to trust me based on our actions over time.
Yep.
Based on our words and based how we handle certain situations. Here'd be an example. If you were working in my company and you had a complaint about somebody and you came in and said, I'm really, really fed up with Bob Stewart. Like he's an idiot.
To have this conversation?
Yeah, he's an idiot, right? And this is how it's affected me. I could say, great, vent all you want, but then I'm really holding something in that I would feel obligated to tell Bob and say, hey, Bob, you and Chad have an issue. You may not know that, but there's an issue. And by doing that, I may betray your trust.
Right.
So I'd immediately go back and say, it sounds like you and Bob have an issue. Would it be okay if I call him in here real quick and let's have a conversation about it? And I would bring those two people in the room and I'll say, all right, here's where I think we're at today. Let's talk about how everybody feels. And when you leave, you feel supported because I did something about it.
Yep.
And you can also trust me because I didn't go behind your back. And I don't lose the trust of Bob, who may, through happenstance, hear that Chad was upset and he told Ben and Ben didn't tell him about it.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that high school gossip issue, right? We want to be able to attack it up front. You know, Ben, I think this is, we were discussing what to talk about today, and I think this word came to us. And I think one of the reasons this word came to us is, to me at least, I can only speak for myself, this is one of the strongest words to describe the relationship you and I have always had. I think very quickly it got to this level, and there has always been loyalty. And I remember when I came to work for you, there were a few lessons, and I didn't follow one of them, yet I followed the other lessons, and I thankfully have my wife now because I didn't follow that first lesson. But that's besides the point. There was one day where I was no longer working with you. I had made that move. I had gone elsewhere, and we were at a convention together and seeing each other, and we didn't get a chance to see each other often being across the country. And you came up to me upset about something that was out there that you had believed came from me. And at that moment, I was hurt. right? Because loyalty, when it's there, will be hurt in those situations. And I remember going back to Nita and talking to her and saying, I can't believe he would ever think I would say anything like this. Couldn't have been 2 hours later before you realized that there's no way I would have ever said anything about that, and came back and said, I didn't think anybody else knew. I couldn't imagine it got out from someone else. I have found out it came from somewhere else. So loyalty really comes with that trust. You've got to have that trust in the relationship. Otherwise, the loyalty will never be there.
And what you notice is I want loyalty with my people, and I want to earn it from them. So when we have a problem like that, do you run and just get it out there, or do you allow it to sit inside you and have this wedge of distrust? Like, I could have sat back and said, gosh, I feel like Chad didn't have my back in that particular situation. Or I could just say, Chad, here's what I heard and here's what I think. I feel like you didn't have my back. And then you could address the situation. I say, oh, that makes sense, right? That ability to have a safe conversation with somebody builds trust, even if it's uncomfortable. I think about the Art Williams Do It speech.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the, go to YouTube and watch the Art Williams Do It speech. It'll change your world. But one line in there always stood out to me. And he said, I love my wife, but I don't like her all the time, right? In this world of loyalty, if you are truly loyal, it's not always going to be cupcakes and balloons, right? Sometimes there's going to be ups and downs. What else do we look for in creating loyalty or earning loyalty from somebody, Chad?
We're helping them develop, right? We got to help people grow and become bigger than they were to create that loyalty and strengthen that loyalty.
The right type of people want to grow. The right type of people in your world want to accomplish what you've accomplished. And when you're the leader of an organization and you're the only one reading the books, going to the classes, getting the coaching, moving through the world, and your people aren't, one, you're creating a gap between you and them, and two, you're not building your replacement. But three, they're going to wake up and say that working with Chad is not a pathway to my success because I'm not growing. I'm stuck in my little tiny box, and you don't want to do that. So I love that answer, Chad. Leaders create loyalty by helping people become who they want to be in the future. That's awesome.
Anybody who's going to stay still, the loyalty won't be developed. Loyalty is something, we're hoping you're catching this, that has to be built. It has to be nurtured. It has to grow. So Ben, we've got being authentic, right? We've got
empathetic.
Being empathetic. We've got trust that comes along with it. We've got development of your people around you. What else comes up in that world of building loyalty?
A word that stood out to me is being generous. Like, how do you create a relationship where people feel like you give more than you should, or more than you can, or more than what's due? And I don't just mean money. It could be time. Right? When somebody walks in and says, I know you're extremely busy, and you say, what's wrong? And you're like, I'm having a serious personal problem. And that leader clears their entire calendar, said, cancel everything. We're going to sit here until we work through it with you. That is being generous with one of our most valuable assets, which is time, right?
Yeah.
Same thing happens when somebody does a good job and you can walk in and reward them with a gift or a prize or cash or some sort of thing like that. You create loyalty because those people will add another word to our list of what creates loyalty. They feel appreciated. Right?
Yeah. You were telling a story. We weren't even thinking this was going to be our topic today. Yet you were telling a story earlier to us about somebody that you were in communication with and their talent. And there's somebody you were looking to possibly see if there was an opportunity to get into business with. And they said to you, they're loyal to their current situation, and that they were in. So, I mean, here comes that loyalty again. They're loyal to it. Yet what was it that was your answer to their response of, well, I'm loyal?
No, this particular woman said, I'm friends with the owner of the company. And I said, I appreciate that. In fact, I value loyalty more than about anything else in my world. Just out of curiosity, what was the nicest thing that this lady worked for has done for you in the last 2 years?" And she just perked right up and she looked at me and she laughed and she said, "You're good." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "I can't think of anything. All I've done is contribute and I've done amazing things for them." And then I said, "I'm sure you were rewarded." And she laughed and said, "I actually wasn't." I said, "Well, they probably appreciate you." She said, "I guess I wouldn't know it."
Right. So it's that appreciation you were just talking about in there is going to help build that loyalty, because now as soon as you actually pull back the curtain in that environment, in that situation, you've revealed that the loyalty is one way.
Let's move on from our list of things that create loyalty and talk about a generic, I don't know if generic's the right word. Let's talk about a Ben, talking about myself in third person, philosophy.
All right.
I believe that loyalty is one of the most important things in my world. I would take a B player who's an A+ loyal over a Michael Jordan who wasn't loyal, right? Not saying he wasn't, but
Yes.
like a star player.
Superstar that's not loyal.
It's something I value a lot. Now, I understand that in order for me to get that loyalty from somebody, I have to show them the same amount of loyalty back. So I have a conversation with people often, and we've mentioned it a little bit in our podcast, but it's called love and results. So take, what would you call a
Seesaw,
scale or whatever, right? On the side of the scale, on one side you have love, and on the other side you have results. Yep. So the seesaw has love and results on there. And you need to find a balance between the two. Here would be an example in a business situation where it'll feel out of balance and you aren't going to trust them. You're going to build resentment. It's not going to work out. Let's say you have a really top salesperson and the salesperson always performs the top 1, 2, or 3 in your company all the time. But so they got the results.
Yep.
That's really good, right? That's strong.
Yep.
On the other side, you sit back and you say, "Well, do I love them?" And I don't mean romantically, right? I mean, would you hang out with them?
Sure. Would you invite him to Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah. Would you introduce him to your mom or your grandma, right? Would you let him watch your kids, whatever that thing might be? And you wake up and you say, "You know what? It's a really great salesperson, but I don't like how they talk to people. I don't like how they treat people. Right. I don't like what they do after hours," whatever those things might be. And you'd say, there isn't a balance between love and results. Well, over time, loyalty gets broken because that performer says, "Hey, I'm number one and you don't take me anywhere. You don't spend a one-on-one time with me. You don't do any of these things." And you wake up and you're saying, "It's because I don't like you," right? And you start feeling bad too because you have this person in your world that succeeds in their job, but you won't spend any time with them because you don't like them. There becomes an imbalance of that.
Yeah.
Well, here would be another example. You hire somebody you like.
Okay. So a good friend or
your
someone
best friend, right? Sibling, whatever that might be, right? And you love them. You do anything for them, right?
Listen to this, folks, because many of you are out there hiring that friend because you need help, so you're going into this direction. So keep going, Ben. We got this person that we clearly love.
Yeah, we do anything for.
Yep.
Right? And yet, when you put them in the job, they call in sick, they show up late, they don't get results, they don't do what they said they're going to do, they aren't one of the highest performers. There's an imbalance. You love them a lot, but there's no results.
Right.
And resentment starts to get created, and you start seeing these loyalty bonds being broken because of that resentment.
Yep.
And you have to be careful. So what you're looking for in creating loyalty in your company is, how do you find people who get results and that you love? On the same hand, they're saying, how do I get results while working with your company? And how do I enjoy, have fun, and love what I'm doing while I'm here?
Sure.
And that all has to be created or it's going to fall apart.
Right. I mean, think about the companies that we talked about, Apple at the beginning, and Google's another one of those companies that it appears have a lot of loyalty in their people. And what do we always hear? I mean, I've never been to either of their places, but it's tons of fun to work there, right? They always say they enjoy their time there. Now the question is, are the managers or the supervisors loving their people so that they've got that balance? Because they're definitely loving where they get the opportunity to work, and they should be bringing the results that come with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loyalty is, it's not like your dog, right? You go and you adopt a dog from the pound. You feed the dog, you play with the dog. Within a week, you probably have loyalty from that dog. That dog it's not going to be like that. When we're talking about people through a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, as you've talked about, or whether it's a business relationship, loyalty is something that has to be developed and has to be created between two people.
As the dictionary says, it's a feeling of support or a feeling of allegiance. And that doesn't happen on day one. It's not a 2-year employment contract.
Yeah, there's a bad example, right, of loyalty. Like you are forced to be loyal to one of the cell phone providers because you signed a 2-year contract.
It's not your commander in the military.
Okay, so there's loyalty by title or position, right? I have to answer to that person. Doesn't mean loyalty came along with it.
One of the nastier types of loyalty that I hate is the people that promote something without disclosing that they're being paid for it. That kind of like there's a financial loyalty bond that happens behind the scenes,
sure.
Right? I want people that walk up and say, you know what, I tell everybody about your company and your product and your service. And I say, well, why do you do that? Because I appreciate you and I appreciate what it's done for me in my life and my business. That's a loyal customer.
Yeah.
Right? What's a loyal employee? Somebody that walks in and says, you know, somebody called me from the competitor and they wanted to meet. And, you know, I told them, no, what'd you tell them? I said, I told them to kiss my butt. And I said, well, why'd you do that? He said, because I know that you got my back.
Yep.
Right.
Or it's that person that jumps in, even though it's not their job, because they are loyal to the company and they know that such and such is sick or somebody got hurt and is out. So people are going to jump in to create those opportunities to help because loyal people are going to catch you when you fall.
So as we end today's conversation about loyalty, here's your challenge to go back to your organization. I want you to ask or make kind of 2 statements here. I want you to go back to somebody and I want you to say, I want to talk to you about a word that means a lot to me. It's called loyalty. And I believe that you are very loyal and I believe that I am very loyal in return to you. But I thought I'd take a little bit of time today to define what loyalty means to me. And as you go through that conversation with that person, have those ideas written out, have a thought process. This is what loyalty looks like for me, right? If you're ever unhappy in the role, Chad, that I would be the first person you talk to. If you ever had an idea or something you wanted to build or something you wanted to buy and you needed an investor or a partner, I'd be the first one that you asked. Right? If you were ever unhappy with our relationship, you would never let a day pass. You would tell me that I had done something wrong and we would have that conversation, right? If you ever feel unappreciated, you would tell me that thing. And I want to tell you that in return, this is what I would do. If I ever have that feeling, you would do that. Or I would tell you that, so on. And then the last question you ask is, Chad, tell me about what loyalty means to you and how could I show up in a manner that you would describe as the most loyal partner, boss, friend that you've ever had. And then you just shut up and listen and you take notes. I challenge you all to go back and do that with 3, 4, 5 people in your company.
And your spouse, partner, if you've got one.
Right? And then tell us what you're surprised about. Go into the Win, Make, Give Facebook group. We'll create a post in there about loyalty after this episode drops and just talk about what did you learn by having this conversation with 1 or 2 people. And let's create a conversation about what loyalty means to other people that maybe we might have been missing or glassing over in our attempts to build our big businesses and our big worlds or move fast.
Absolutely. And we hope that we are creating brand loyalty with you. And even though we don't have a rewards program at this time, hopefully you're still coming back again and again and so loyal to the podcast that you're sharing it with others. Remember, you can tell them to just simply text the word podcast to the number 59559. That's the word podcast to 59559, and they'll get the link to be able to subscribe themselves. You can also just send them to winmakegive.com, where they can get the podcast on any platform that they prefer their podcasts on. Until our next episode, we want you to remember, wash those hands, and as always, do good.